the Babysitter Diaries dialogue. That's right. They have guests over. They cook dinner in the hood, and then people's cars get jacked. That's right. It is the dope dad himself, Rico Lamitte.
Oh man, Jason, like, what does that even mean, my man? Like what? I'll just take it. Thank you for the intro.
Don't get blipped.
All right, so my story today is coming from Business Insider, and Sean Jay-Z Carter once told us all that he is not just a businessman, he is a businessman. And it seems that Beyonce's husband is living up to that line yet again. According to Business Insider, Carter's Roc Nation and SC Branding have entered into modification agreements to restructure his partnership with cannabis conglomerate, the parent company. The mogul will be spinning off his high-priced Monogram flower brand off of the parent company's books onto Roc Nation's, while maintaining a guaranteed presence on all TPCO shelves under an exclusive and royalty-free 8-year license to distribute Monogram brand in California. Also part of the arrangement, Jay-Z, Roc Nation, and their affiliates say that they will be returning approximately 7.1 million TPCO common shares, and to enable the organization to save approximately $33.5 million in top-line costs over an 8-year period. In a statement to Insider, Jay-Z said collectively they've agreed to restructure their partnership in order to afford the parent company the best opportunity to execute a long-standing and successful strategy, and they're excited for the continued growth of parent company in the future together in the cannabis industry, blah, 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 blah. Parent company's CEO, Troy Datcher, said that he wanted to sincerely thank Jay-Z, of course, he's getting a fat payday, bro, Desiree Perez and the entire Roc team for their significant creative contributions. And he looks forward to continuing their exciting work together to create world-class products. I'll just keep my mouth shut there. Importantly, this arrangement significantly reduces our ongoing financial commitments and protects shareholders from future dilution while transforming our business into a platform for future brand collaborations. They'll continue to leverage their position as a brand builder, working with authentic leaders and innovators in the industry. So behind the scenes is what was really going on. Later this month, the parent company's social equity venture plans to launch a 12-week brand success program to provide minority-owned brands with guaranteed shelf space and mentorship to learn best practices, operational procedures, and more. The parent company rep said the goal of the program is to empower each brand with knowledge and opportunity to scale their business, market efficiently, and increase brand awareness while building customer loyalty and boost sales. The first two brands slated to benefit are Bryant Bowen's founded Kranja and Amber Center's Disco Jays by Maker House. So unpacking the whole thing here, Jay-Z pretty much came in to do what we all knew he was going to do, create a bunch of hype around his luxury $80 Monogram pre-roll brand, which I don't really know anybody who really bought that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's somebody in the room who has actually bought it, but money, $80 for a pre-roll, but not me. But the real play here, and I think that was successful in execution, is drawing attention to the bigger picture on the front end through his overpriced product coming from a California and industry outsider, while empowering Black cannabis logos and getting them the much needed resources to succeed behind the scenes. After the foundational work was done, he took his ball and went home. He had a big payday. Everybody else got a big payday too. The brand lives on, at least in spirit, for 8 years on the shelves. And the parent company frees up $34 million to run their social equity brand success program. I think it's a win-win for everybody. It's business done right. It's a very smart play. But I'm interested in hearing what everybody else thinks on this one. I'm Rico Lamitte, dopest dad in the street. What do you guys think?
Since when did the parent company produce amazing
world-class
products? I mean, does anyone buy that?
I was just wondering, like, have we seen sales on Monogram? Like, how have they done since launch?
Any California brands or producers can look on. You can actually look on Headset. If you have Headset, you can see.
I mean, you shop at a store that sells them. Rico, have you ever been in there and someone said, "Hey, I want that Monogram"?
No.
Has anyone came in there and said, "Hey, I want that Jay-Z weed. I want that Jigga Man"?
No.
Are they only in California?
Yeah. As of right now, they say they're going to be expanding nationwide.
Hold on. So you're telling me
Yeah, I mean, so his brand is going to live on for at least 8 years. The parent company is going to continue doing what they do. Jay-Z just came in to create a bunch of hype around a product and create a lot of hatred, which is a great way to create hype around that. And all the eyes were on Jay-Z and what he's doing, but they were doing a lot of good work behind the scenes. So I say bravo to him.
I mean, I just want to wait till Monogram comes up with the Hova half-ounce special.
How much is that going to cost?
Probably like $80, but I mean, they'll probably charge like $200, $250 for it or something like that, just because it has Monogram's name on it.
I think it's a far more excited to see the packaging than the actual cannabis, because I think the packaging is going to be dope and the cannabis is going to be boof.
Well, yes,
I didn't. That's a good prediction, Omar.
Yeah, because I tore my Achilles, I wasn't able to go up to the last Hall of Flowers, where I was invited to their private Monogram party at the Hall of Flowers, the last one in Santa Rosa. But I just haven't even tried it. So has anybody out here even tried the Monogram flower?
Oh no, I do remember you and I were at the opening of Josephine and Billy's, and there was a Monogram girl there, and she was trying to tell us all about Monogram.
Yeah,
remember that?
Yes, I do. And
I wasn't sold.
Well, she wasn't from the industry, and she wasn't knowledgeable about the industry. She wasn't knowledgeable about the product.
I wasn't sold.
I wasn't sold either. So
I have a question for you, Rico, because you're much more adept at the finance side than I am. Is this a good play for down the road when interstate commerce does come in, and I think celebrity brands will have more cachet when it comes to non-experienced consumers who are going to walk in and look for Jay-Z's brand somewhere?
Yes, especially on the East Coast, and I think this is an interesting play, and I'll be interested to see how Puffy and his venture responds to this, because it will be a good play for their national footprint.
Are they going to do a licensing deal with Monogram and bring Monogram to Illinois?
Hell yeah! I think that's
I don't know. I think they're going to be. I think they're going to try to duke it out, and they're going to try to have like Coke and Pepsi rivalry between the two of them. Yeah, why not?
I mean,
why not? Everyone loves a good little sparring session. You know what I mean? We've been watching them on Twitter the last couple days.
But we're about Black unity right now, man. So like we're about supporting each other's shit.
Black unity.
Hell yeah.
Okay, that's a new concept.
And I say that like even after I say like I have not bought his brand. I'd rather buy the Black brands that are established cannabis players. So big shout out to Amber Center, big win for her in this play, as well as Kranja, my man Mike G, the God. A big shout out to their brands, and they're doing a lot of work. But like I said, behind the scenes, I think it's a great play to get the resources needed to Black logos that are in the state of California, and hopefully they continue to do it nationwide. That $100 bill. $100 bill.
Is that for a Monogram joint, or is that Gretchen's?
This is for Gretchen. So Gretchen can go and buy some monograms. Yeah.
Is that the days since Kevin McCarthy has not been elected?
Man. Oh, that's
but seriously, has anybody in the room, whether it's in the audience or anybody on stage here, like has anybody tried Monogram? I would seriously like to hear.
Has anyone in the Clubhouse audience, go ahead and raise your hand if any of you have ever tried Monogram. I'll tell you what.
I'd be embarrassed if they bought it, but you could say a friend bought it. So
I mean, I think Monogram would probably do better as a Delta 8 company.
Oof.
I don't know if that shot's fired or not.
I mean, that was just friendly business advice. Yeah, friendly business advice. Monogram.
All right.
Yes.
So let's keep it rolling here then.
Let's roll, bro. Let's roll.
Up next, you know who it is. It's the mink coat wearing, private jet hopping, Green Street dealing, longest continuously operating retailer in the game. No telling where he might pop up next. He's been spotted in Mar-a-Lago talking cannabis policy and Delta 8 and spice deals with former President Trump. Politicking out in Delta 8 with tricking them, where they call him White Gucci. But this weekend, he's going to be out in West Hollywood again, doing things as the president should be doing. moving cannabis tourism forward. Come on stage next. You know who it is. Jason Beck. What do you have for us on this beautiful Friday morning? What you got, man?
Oh, yeah. Good morning, Rico. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. Hope everyone is ready because you know what? It's finally Friday, everybody. It's been a long week. First work week of the new year, and you guys even got a day off in the beginning. So congratulations. You guys earned your first weekend. But coming up, we have the U.S. Virgin Islands is on the cusp of legalizing adult use marijuana. The U.S. Virgin Islands is on the verge of legalizing adult use marijuana shortly before the new year. A veto-proof majority of lawmakers in the U.S. territory voted to send the Virgin Islands Cannabis Act to the desk of Governor Albert Bryan. That's right. The governor expected to sign the bill into law, according to the Virgin Islands Consortium. The bill, for one, just here's a few bullet points. The bill legalizes cannabis for adults 21 and over, creates a regulated system for the cultivation, manufacture, and sale of cannabis for adult, medical, and sacramental use. Oh, look at that, sacramental use. Also allows members of religious organizations to grow up to 6 mature plants. That is definitely not enough. Companion legislation also expunges certain marijuana-related convictions. Senator Janelle Sorrow, the bill sponsor, said in a news release, lawmakers did due diligence in the protecting of the masses and the best interests of our residents by ensuring that locals and minorities are not locked out of the industry and have an opportunity to participate in its economic potential, Soros stated, adding that the bill will create an industry that is inclusive and diverse, but most importantly, safe. Roughly 106,000 people live in the U.S. Virgin Islands, located off the coast of Puerto Rico, where medical cannabis is legal and possession of up to 1 ounce is decriminalized. Well, I'll tell you what, congratulations, Virgin Islands. I can't wait to go out and buy some virgin cannabis in the Virgin Islands. And this is Jason Beck reporting for High at 9 News. What do you guys think about this?
What makes cannabis virgin?
The fact that it hasn't been smoked.
Ooh, that's a
That's a good one.
Just saying. What do you think about this, Stone?
I like it, man.
You gonna travel? Does it make you want to travel to the U.S. Virgin Islands?
It makes me want to travel to the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the way it is here in Texas, I'm ready to travel just anywhere where it's weed friendly. So the Virgin Islands, fuck yeah.
They'll probably have better weed, you think, in the Virgin Islands than they do in Texas?
I'm going to say no.
I mean, it is going to be regulated weed.
Maybe not. We'll see. You
you
can't dog Texas. Listen,
do you think
our Republican leaders don't want to legalize it for the people, but the people have found ways to get good cannabis in Texas, whether it's grown here or not.
Is that putting a couple plants in their windowsill?
Stop it. Stop it.
Oh shit.
Time to move on.
I'm glad that the Virgin Islands made news twice this week. Once for President Biden vacationing in the Caribbean, but in the U.S. at the same time, and twice for this adult legalization proposal. So I think we're going to have a U.S. location in the Caribbean where cannabis will be legal, and then people's dream of smoking cannabis in the Caribbean, but not leaving the U.S. will be realizable.
I mean, how much do you think that Bitcoin guy put money behind this legislation to get passed? That's what I want to know. How much crypto dollars were put in the passage of this bill?
What really sucks is the fact that when I thought he is the Bahamas though. Is the Bahamas like technically?
I mean, Bahamas, Virgin Islands, bro. They're all islands, bro.
No, but it's not. Yeah, he was in the Bahamas.
They're all surrounded by water. Okay.
Jason doesn't believe in facts. He just likes to throw stuff out. They're all islands.
They're not all islands. Am I incorrect in that statement?
If you don't check it before his next statement, he's just going to roll with it.
What do you think, Gretchen? Would you take a trip to the Virgin Islands to go and buy some weed?
Sure, why not?
You would?
Well, East Coasters, yes, we frequent the Caribbean, I think, more than West Coast does. So I think this gives more of an avenue for East Coasters to go get some weed. Why not? And people already go down to Jamaica for it. I know lots of friends who plan vacations in Jamaica so they can have that excitement of the cannabis market. So I could see it happening.
Interesting. People really traveling to Jamaica just for weed, you think, huh?
Yeah, I know people who've done this. Yes.
They travel to Jamaica just for the weed.
Not all of us have, plants on our windowsill like Stone Slade. We got to do what we got to do.
Stone, you got plants on your windowsill?
So they do in Texas.
Listen,
Is that a big weed bush? Is that a big weed bush?
I wish I did have plants on my windowsill. Unfortunately, I've got a very brown thumb, so they're not on this windowsill.
Yeah. I think I'm with Chemo on this. I think Jamaican weed is trash. I'm with
Really?
Chemo on this one. Yeah.
Really?
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't Jamaica have or they're allowed to import from Canada or other places?
That makes the word even worse.
I'm not saying it makes it better, but I mean, I wonder if the Virgin Islands, being a territory, if
they won't. They will not be able to because they're a territory of the U.S. and it's still a Schedule 1 drug, so they're not going to be able to import anything.
I think,
Gretchen, I can't believe I have to tell you that.
Yeah,
I think it's a
I wanted to make you look like you had one win, Jason.
Man, I stay winning, girl. You know what it is.
It's a tale of two types of Jamaican weed. My wife's father's a reggae legend, and I was out there in Sav Lamar in the hood and everything. We had some great weed, but the weed that we actually bought from somebody on the beach before we linked up with her family was straight up boof.
Oh man, I love what Nick is saying in here. He says the weed I got in St. Croix was They told me it was from Cali, and I laughed.
That's from Cali.
I mean, it probably was. It's probably some outdoor weed from Cali that people like $200 a pound weed. But
it's supposed to be the best, man.
Yes, that cheap and that good. You know what I mean? Exactly. Well, coming up next, she's a political strategist by day and a baker by night. A true female multitasker who can not only bake up a storm, but also knows how to make the sausage on Capitol Hill. She's the founder of Panoptic Strategies and our very own Washington insider. Taking off the apron and coming on up, it is none other than the Gretchen Gailey.
Good afternoon. And for those who missed it, Jason is now 6 days behind in paying his bets. He's a tease. That's all he does. He just jingles around his money. The one $100 bill he ever had, he just keeps flaunting because he can't pay his bets. My headline is coming from Marijuana Moment. A pharma company behind FDA-approved CBD drug sues a dozen competitors over alleged patent infringement. The drug company behind the CBD-based medication Epidiolex has filed a lawsuit against more than a dozen competitors that are seeking to create generic versions, alleging patent infringement. GW Research, which alongside with GW Pharmaceuticals is a subsidiary of Jazz Pharmaceuticals, filed the suit. GW, one of the only companies to secure FDA approval for a cannabis-derived medication, says that the various competitors have submitted what are known as abbreviated new drug applications in order to commercially market generic versions of GW's cannabidiol oral solution drug product. The lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of New Jersey on Tuesday says the attempts to develop and market those generics is happening prior to the expiration of one or more of GW's patents. It then listed 25 U.S. patents it owns. The 322-page filing contains many pages of technical descriptions and claims about jurisdiction, but it eventually gets into main arguments against each of the competing companies' ANDAs. It asserts that the patents affiliated with its epilepsy medication Epidiolex that are listed in what's known as FDA's Orange Book for authorized drugs have not yet expired. So any companies that seek to market generics would be in violation of patent infringement laws. We believe Epidiolex is an important life-improving medicine for patients with rare epilepsies, according to Andrew Sivers Davies, a spokesperson for GW parent company Jazz Pharmaceuticals. We will vigorously defend our intellectual property rights as this is an important part of what enables us to continue to innovate and develop new medicines for patients, including our pioneering work in industry-leading GW cannabinoid scientific platform. FDA's website shows that Epidiolex received authorization for use in the treatment of two sets of conditions in 2018 and 2020. The exclusivity period for the first is set to expire in September 2025, while the other expires in July of 2027. GW is asking federal court to enjoin each of the companies from moving forward with their FDA applications, lest they run into a patent infringement problem. Larry Sandell, a registered patent attorney with May and Mark LLP, and the head of the firm's cannabis practice, told Marijuana Moment that ANDA patent cases like this are relatively common in the pharmaceutical world, even if it's somewhat unique here because it involves cannabis products. Sandell, whose firm is not involved in the GW dispute, said that in some cases, such litigation can be in the best interest of all parties, as it would prove costly for generic competitors to expend resources to manufacture and market drugs that may ultimately be found to infringe valid pharmaceutical patents. In this new complaint, after more than 100 largely repetitive sections of claims against the various companies, GW asked the court to grant injunctions to prevent possible patent infringement, judgments affirming that their existing patents are valid and enforceable, and to award damages for any violations that may have already occurred. I'm not going to go through the whole list of other defendants, and Marijuana Moment reached out to them. GW is no stranger to patent law, and it's been previously found itself on the receiving end of a patent infringement lawsuit after being accused by the cannabis corporation Canopy Growth of unlawfully using patent extraction technology in 2020. That case was ultimately dismissed last year with a joint stipulation from the companies that there was no such infringement per a judge's interpretation. I think this is just the beginning of what we're going to see as these things move forward. I would love to hear more from Omar and from Dr. Talleyrand on what they expect to see. I would think it would be hard to patent this kind of technology, and I don't know how you win these cases. I mean, frankly, when it comes to the plant, I don't know, Dr. Talleyrand, if someone could get away by citing different strains or different ways to try and get around these sort of things. Is that a possibility?
Well, I'm not an expert on pharmaceutical patents, but I think that it's, first of all, tough with CBD because it's a natural ingredient in the plant, and so to claim a patent for a single agent natural ingredient is tough in itself. You know, Omar might know more about the law here, but it seems like it's a reach.
I think the problem is that the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, they have patent agents who review these patent applications, and they are not well versed in the art and science of cannabis. They don't understand the prior art in the field. So any patent application that comes their way, to them, it's all totally new. And since they have no frame of reference because they don't understand the prior art, they're granting overbroad patents that should never be granted in the first place. Cannabis and hemp has been used by humanity for millennia. And some of the claims in these patents are so overbroad, and they're trying to patent activities and uses and methods and substances that have been in wide use by humanity for centuries and millennia. So it's just the ignorance of the patent examiners that is leading to these types of patents being issued. And then patent trolls start suing for infringement of their patents. And it really inhibits the development of science and medicine when people are not allowed to freely experiment with all methods and substances that have been used for centuries. And so to me, it really shows that the patent system, at least when it comes to cannabis, needs serious reform.
Well, I guess my question would be then, but aren't most medicines plant derived? I mean, how are they patenting the other ones then?
They're not necessarily plant derived. They're synthetic. They're synthetics of plant derivatives. Most pharmaceutical drugs, Gretchen.
Many pharmaceutical drugs are like molecules that get patented, and they do end up getting bioproduced, because that's usually like the cheapest form of production is use plants to do the biosynthesis instead of trying to mix molecules in the laboratory. That's often far more expensive. But the pharmaceutical companies are not putting out plant patents on these broad claims that we're seeing here. And what I think we have is there's also other companies that have been amassing patents that have been reluctant to enforce them because they're afraid that a federal court is going to say cannabis is still a Schedule I controlled substance, and we're not going to be enforcing patents at this time. And so I think it's interesting that we're now seeing more patent litigation, and I expect that's going to be a high growth area of litigation.
Also, Epidiolex CBD is not made in the lab. It's derived from the plant. It's one of the first cannabis products derived. Pharmaceutical products derived from the plant. So, what's interesting is that that I don't know how much money Epidiolex is making. It doesn't work better than something that's actually extracted from the plant that has multiple ingredients. And so, I think the cat's out of the bag here. Cannabis is already in the marketplace, as a plant-derived product. So I think they're maybe, looking for money by doing this. I don't know.
Sure, that's exactly what they're looking for.
100% they are. 100% they are. And I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen. We're going to see this on a massive scale. If, for any reason, Joe Biden schedules cannabis, if they lower the schedule to any of those numbers, this is going to happen to every single cannabis company in America.
This is going to be the Monsantoing of the marijuana industry.
Exactly. Exactly right. Mm-hmm.
So, Omar, do you think GW has a case?
I haven't really looked at the specific claims. I gotta do further review.
Dr. Talleyrand, that's a no on your side. Did I see a head shake?
I don't think they have a case. I think they're well, again, I'm not a lawyer, so what do I know?
I think they got a case. I think they got a case because they have drug preclusion on CBD for Epidiolex and Sativex. So therefore, you can't sell anything with CBD in it without their approval.
Jeez. Without it, really how it
works? Capitalism, man.
That's what I'm saying. Without FDA approval. So therefore, any of these products, all this snake oil out there, all this CBD snake oil out there, is all illicit product.
My question is, Jason, before you get into the snake oil, so you're saying if a completely different drug is developed using CBD, a totally different recipe with everything else that they put in there, you honestly think that they would?
Yes.
You're out of your mind. That's not how patents work.
It depends on how broad.
Hold on. It may not be how the patent works, but it's how drug preclusion works. And the FDA already has drug preclusion on CBD because they regulate everything by the molecule. So yes, this 100% would happen with anything.
Yes, and technically it's federally illegal under the FDA because of drug preclusion. But so it's all cannabis federally illegal because of this CSA. It doesn't stop anybody.
Exactly.
That you're as clear as mud, Jason. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I'm as clear as mud. You just can't handle it when I'm right, can you, Gretchen? It's all right. It's all right.
I love it. Omar completely contradicts you, and you're like, exactly. And I'm like, what?
We're gonna pay a quick bill. We're gonna pay a quick bill. We'll be right back. Yes.
At True Classic OG, we live by one motto: stay true. We stay true to our legacy cut of True OG that's always fresh, piney, gassy, and delicious. We represent the spirit and hustle and diversity of our great city of Angels, and we stay true to the spirit of this plant, doing everything in-house to ensure that you get the highest quality and consistency with every batch. And that's what made us LA's favorite OG. True Classic OG. Stay true, Los Angeles.
The thoughts and opinions and general overall shade thrown on the High 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of any other speaker or its followers. The statements made do not constitute legal or accounting advice, and our speakers make no representation regarding the legal status of any substance in any country, area, or territory of any authorities. The views expressed in this room do not establish any fiduciary relationship, and our sponsors do not imply or constitute any endorsement by us or the expression of any opinion whatsoever on the part of any speaker on stage. If you're an easily offended person, the show is probably not for you. And also, too, maybe you should go try some CBD.
CBDs. That ad gives me so much inspiration.
Bro, this is gonna be fire, bro.
Dude, hell yeah. Up next, we've got the truest OG industry doctor in the game with a proven track record for years of serving up daily doses of compassion to the people, for the people, from the people. He's the founder of Medican and co-founder of CESC, a nonprofit cannabis research organization, seriously doing some great work educating the people and providing data-backed research that everybody should check out. Please do. He's doing some fantastic shit out there. Dr. Jean Talleyrand, what do you have for us on this beautiful Wolf Moon Friday morning?
Full moon, yeah. Happy Friday, everyone. Thanks, Rico. So my headline today is from MJ Biz Daily. Colombian government-funded health insurance now covers medical cannabis. A late 2020 move by Colombia's health ministry resulted in increased government health insurance coverage of certain medical procedures and medications, including prescribed medical cannabis. Chiron Life Services, in a Thursday press release, says that it will immediately start filling backlog orders of insurance-covered medical cannabis prescriptions in Colombia. According to Chiron CEO Alvaro Torres, the new government is fully committed to the use of medical cannabis as a covered treatment under the Colombian health system. The new government has included plant-based medical cannabis in a list of mandatory insurance-covered medications starting January 1st, 2023. Chiron is a Toronto-based global medical cannabis company with core operations in Latin America and Europe, including Colombia, Germany, the United Kingdom, Switzerland, Peru, and Brazil. Resolution 2808 was signed by the Ministry of Health on December 30th, 2022, as a revision to a previous law. This revision was necessary to remove unintended ambiguities that had arisen about whether plant-based preparations from cannabis were included in the insurance coverage. This is now, once and for all, clearly confirmed. The new government is fully committed with the use of medical cannabis as a covered treatment under the Colombian health system. The Colombian health system is one of the world's best. The World Health Organization ranks it as the 22nd most efficient in the world, above Canada, the United States, and Australia. Healthcare in Colombia is very affordable. About 20% of government spending is directed towards healthcare. This level of investment has made on-the-ground costs for patients accessible. There's a three-tiered payment under the public health system. Co-payments are approximately $1, $4.25, and $11.15 for lab tests, diagnostic imaging, specialist visits, and medications. The premium cost for health insurance in Colombia is about 12% of declared personal income without an age limit cap. If you're employed, your employer is required to pay 2/3 of the premium. Zerenia, Chiron's wholly owned medical cannabis clinic network, has entered into a contract with the largest government-owned insurance company in the city of Bogota to provide integrative health services and pharmacotherapeutic treatment with medical cannabis. Zerenia has a patient base of about 25,000, and the insurance company covers about 12 million individuals. This has been a dream of mine since 1998. I thought it might happen in the United States, but to see it first occur in Colombia is unreal. Of course, I have a lot of questions. How will plants be characterized and categorized? Without traditional clinical evidence, how can cannabis be prescribed? But most importantly, I see Colombia physician-guided and documented trial and error practices contributing to the clinical evidence necessary for individuals using cannabis. This is Dr. Jean Talleyrand reporting for High at 9. What do you think? Can insurance pay for cannabis in the U.S.?
Hell yes,
Yes,
they should.
and it should. Hell
Without
yeah.
a doubt.
Big ups to
This is
Colombia.
fantastic news, Dr. Talleyrand. Thank
I
you.
thought it was great news. But remember, I'm talking about medical cannabis, not adult use, recreational, whatever you want.
It's all the same thing. That's like saying the difference between hemp and weed.
That means, yeah, because you can pay for it with a copay, and you can go get your Jay-Z monogram for $10.
Subsidized, bro.
That's right. I don't know if Jay-Z would be on the medical formulary, but maybe something better would.
I mean, but so the doctor, correct me if I'm wrong, but they sell flour in Colombia, and so therefore you're saying that the flour would be sold under insurance, could be sold under insurance.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird though, because I mean, it's like, because it's carcinogens, right? Like if you're smoking the shit, like that's not healthy, so it's technically not medicine. Like can cigarettes or can big tobacco make a case for like, oh yeah, it's relieving stress, this is medicine too?
Well, I have a friend, a good friend who has a French health insurance, and they pay him money every month to vape instead of smoking. I mean, they look at it as cessation, and so he gets a benefit from his insurance company.
How much does he get?
I think it's like $70 or something.
70 euros.
$70 to vape.
Oh,
is that a week, a month, a year?
It's a month, per month.
A month, $70 a month.
Yeah,
70 euros a month.
To not smoke, at least not smoke cigarettes. So I don't see why it's such an issue. And there are some insurance companies in the U.S. I'm not saying that they provide blanket coverage, but you can make a case to your insurance company for certain things, and they will work with some people. I'm not saying truly this is something that should be done everywhere. I would love to see this. I'm so happy that Colombia is doing this. We have seen a lot of great research and things coming out of Colombia. So this just makes sense. And I hope to see other countries follow their lead.
I mean, I wonder what insurance company covers Colombia. That's what I want to know.
It's a government-owned insurance company.
It's a government-owned insurance company.
There's no insurance industry except for in the U.S., Brad. Like to the extent like where they just like fuck everybody over and just leave you out to dry. That's American.
I want to go to Colombia because I want to know if subsidized weed tastes better.
Maybe better than Monogram. I don't know.
I mean, I could probably find some Delta 8 that's better than Monogram.
I smell a segment coming on.
I'm gonna ask Stone Slade to source us some Delta 8 that's better than Monogram.
No, sir. I don't touch it. I'm not gonna do that for you.
Is Windowsill Booth better than Monogram?
Oh man, you guys
don't hate me, Jay-Z. Please don't.
That might be a sponsor. Don't piss off Jay-Z.
Yeah, the Hove. Yeah, rocking.
All right, let's keep it rolling, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's you, Jay.
Oh, is it me? Oh my fucking god! I'm so sorry.
It's Mercury and Gatorade, bro. The planet
Mercury
is dehydrated.
And Gatorade. Oh, that's a Mercury and Gatorade. Oh,
electrolytes and shit, you know?
Yes. Coming up next, he's the founder of the Cannabis law firm with offices in California and New York, director of the National Cannabis Industry Association, a legal publisher, and an author whose 2022 California cannabis laws and regulations were just released last year. He's also a ganjier, and for those of you that don't know, a ganjier claims to be a sommelier for cannabis. That's right. And also to watch out because he is a purple belt in high style Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And when he's talking about high style, he's not talking about kicks. He's talking about his weed. That's right. It is Omar Figueroa.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. And we're working on new editions of the California and New York books. Happy Friday, everyone. My story is from BBC News, and the headline is 29 killed during arrest of El Chapo's son. Ovidio Guzman Lopez, himself alleged to be a leader of the Sinaloa cartel, was captured in Culiacan and flown to Mexico City on Thursday. During the 32-year-old's arrest, 10 soldiers and 19 suspects were killed, officials said. In retaliation, furious gang members set up roadblocks, set fire to vehicles, and attacked the local airport. A further 35 military personnel were injured and 21 gunmen were arrested. Defense Minister Luis Crescencio Sandoval told a press conference on Friday. Guzman Lopez, nicknamed the Mouse, is accused of leading a faction of his father's notorious Sinaloa cartel. It is one of the largest drug trafficking organizations in the world. His father, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, is serving a life sentence in the U.S. after being found guilty in 2019 of drug trafficking and money laundering. His trial revealed some of the brutal details of how Mexico's drug cartels operate. The 6-month surveillance operation to capture Mr. Guzman Lopez had the support of United States officials, Mr. Sandoval said. In December, the U.S. put out a reward of $5 million for information leading to his arrest or conviction, as well as that of 3 of his brothers, who are also thought to have kept their positions of command in the group. The operation, which began at dawn in Culiacan in Sinaloa State, northwest Mexico, sparked a wave of violence from armed cartel members. Dozens of vehicles were set alight, and at least 2 planes at Sinaloa airports were hit by gunfire in attacks blamed on the Sinaloa cartel. More than 100 flights were canceled at local airports as a result. 2 Mexican Air Force aircraft were forced to make emergency landings after they were hit by gunfire from the cartel, Defense Minister Sandoval said. Helicopter gunships were deployed from the authorities to support the ground operation. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said Mexican forces had acted responsibly to look after the civilian population and avoid innocent victims. No civilian deaths have yet been reported. A further 1,000 troops are being sent to Sinaloa to help with ongoing security measures. Videos on social media have shown burning buses blocking roads in Culiacan. The fuselage of a plane scheduled to fly from Culiacan to Mexico City was hit by gunfire on Thursday morning as it was preparing for takeoff, Mexican airline Aeromexico said. No customers or employees had been harmed, it said. A video posted on social media appears to show passengers crouching and cowering in their seats. As we were accelerating for takeoff, we heard gunshots very close to the plane, and that's when we all threw ourselves to the floor. One of the passengers, David Telles, told Reuters news agency. An Air Force plane was also hit in Culiacan, Mexico's civil aviation agency said. U.S. President Joe Biden is due to visit Mexico for a North American Leaders Summit next week. He will now arrive on Sunday, a day earlier than previously expected, according to a tweet by Mexico's Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard. No reason was given for why he was arriving early. There were blockades in different parts of the city, and residents were urged to stay at home. Many shops were also looted, and gunfire exchanges took place between security forces and gang members. All schools across the whole state of Sinaloa were closed on Friday, the local government body overseeing education said. Mexican security forces had previously arrested Guzman Lopez in 2019, but released him to avoid the threat of violence from his supporters. The U.S. State Department says he and his brother Joaquin are currently overseeing approximately 11 methamphetamine labs in the state of Sinaloa, producing an estimated 3,000 to 5,000 pounds of the drug per month. They have also said that information indicates Mr. Guzman Lopez ordered the murders of informants, a drug trafficker, and a popular Mexican singer who refused to sing at his wedding. You know, my take is that BCC forgot to mention that Mr. Guzman Lopez was also an aspiring cannabis mogul, one of 3 of El Chapo's sons, known as Los Chapitos, or the Juniors, who recently made headlines for their plans to take over the world of cannabis. I remember a story I covered a few weeks ago where a Sinaloa cartel commander who acts as a link between Los Chapitos and Culiacan's marijuana producers said, "The Juniors are a different litter. They are educated. They want to live well and stop being a target for the government. So weed could be their option to go out of the illegal trade and become successful businessmen in Mexico and leave all the crime behind." Looks like the weed baron option will no longer be an option for this Chapito. I wonder how this will impact the Chapitos' plan for global domination of the weed market. This is Omar Figueroa, lawyer, publisher, and Ganjier instructor, reporting from Sonoma County, the traditional territory of the Pomo, Miwok, and Wapo nations, for High at 9, high noon Eastern.
I wonder if there'll be. I wonder if safe banking would solve this problem, Jason.
I mean, did you see the video though? I mean, they were firing some serious artillery, man. It looked like a GI Joe laser gun out there from that helicopter.
Yeah,
It's war.
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing that this is happening. This is payback, I guess, for years ago when they tried to get him earlier, right? So it's the war continued.
This is I just listened to the podcast, the 50 Cent podcast with the twins that ratted out El Chapo. That whole whole story is crazy. It's fucking nuts.
Right?
One guy they called him Rambo. He would go up in the rooms like nothing, with his big ass guns just like chopping up motherfuckers. It's crazy, man. I could not imagine to have been in the middle of that, like, at all.
I mean, I just wonder what I wonder if some of this was sparked because of the article that we covered a couple of weeks ago in regards to them wanting to come and take over the cannabis industry. And I also wonder, Rico, what's going to happen when they have to go for the background check and get a live scan, if they would actually pass the whole license.
This could be the end to the cartel, guys. I mean, this is government versus cartel, and last time cartel won, so this could be the end for the cartel.
I don't see how it's even close to possibly being the end of the cartel. I mean,
there's two other brothers at large. They're going to be running the show. I mean, I don't think it's really going to like stop anything that they got. Like, one sacrificial lamb, probably like the most egregious one, got thrown to the wolves as an offering and a distraction, probably. I think there was like, in Mexico, they call like an outburst, like when they start like burning, when a kid starts like kicking on the floor, a berrinche, and the cartel threw a huge berrinche in the city of Culiacan and basically turned it into, a martial law. Like, everybody has to stay home. All the residents have to stay home. Everybody's on lockdown until the cartel is gone. That is not good for business. It's not good for anybody. And so to me, it seems like the cartel will be incentivized to make their peace now that one of their brothers has been gone. Their dad is in the Supermax. I think the dad's wife is doing 3 years right now, and she cooperated against him. So she can't go back to Mexico ever. But it's a huge mess. And I think the only solution is to decriminalize drugs, and prohibition creates crime.
Yeah, I think this is the sad part about capitalism is everybody has their price. Yep. And everybody has their price. And you offer the officials, whether they're cops, whether they're government agents on either side of the border, like, they're going to take that money, man. They're going to take that money. They're going to look the other way. And you know what? That's how you get generational wealth. That's how real generational wealth.
I mean, so how long
in Mexico, because the cops are so poorly paid. Like, at least here in the United States, cops like get all sorts of benefits and they get overtime and they get cushy requirements. They could lose their pension.
They get pensions,
That. In Mexico, they're like paid like next to nothing. And so the only way they can make the rent and pay their families is by taking bribes, mordidas. It's just part of the culture.
Mordidas, huh? I'm like
little bites.
Yeah, little bite. I'm not mad at that.
One more story, Dida.
Yeah.
For Dida.
Man, I got so many questions. Thank you so much, Omar.
Man, very, very interesting. Thank you for covering that one, Omar. That was a really good one. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Do you think they're going to hold him? Do you think they're going to keep him? Like I'm pretty sure he's going to escape like within a week, right?
If he's not in a Supermax, dude, like he's going to get paid off by somebody.
Or they could have only just arrested his body double, possibly too.
That's what I'm thinking. Body double.
Yeah, body double.
That's how they got the twins out. That's how they got the twins out. They just gave them somebody else. Oh yeah, these are the guys. Like no,
the twins were really quadruplets.
Quintuplets. Up next and bringing us home in an industry full of negativity. littered with folks on both sides of the aisle, aiming lower and lower. This dope dad from the great purple state of Texas decided he'd be hitting the high road and just say no to local Delta 8 dab sessions. He's the host and co-creator of a new show with the same damn name, so y'all better check that thing on out. Is Stone Slade bringing us home? What you got for us today, brother?
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Rico. Man, it's good to be back. I've been gone for a little while. Today, my story comes out of the Miami Herald. Folks, as we all know in this space, the trap is alive and well, but not just on the streets across the country, also behind bars. It was found that inmates in Tampa, Florida's Falkenberg Road Jail have been buying individually packed cannabis-laced perishables, aka pot brownies, from someone in jail. Now, these space cakes weren't being snuck in during an inmate's conjugal visit. No, these are making their way into the joint by way of Florida Deputy Sheriff Terry Bradford. Hillsborough County Sheriff, sporting the very cannabis-esque name Chad Chronister, said investigators found more than a pound of cannabis-laced brownies at the Falcon Road Jail in Tampa. A source had tipped the jail intelligence squad on January 3rd that a deputy was selling drug-laced edibles to inmates for profit and that he himself had an order coming in the next day. When 25-year-old Bradford walked into work on January 4th, officials located over a pound of cannabis-laced brownies in his lunchbox. Sheriff Cronmeister went on to say, "We have zero tolerance for any type of corruption by any of our employees. Bradford betrayed the trust of the agency and our community strictly for greed." They say that Bradford used Cash App to collect money from inmates, and while an exact figure isn't known, they believe that he made thousands of dollars in profits. Bradford, who had been working for the Hillsborough County Sheriff Department for about a year and a half, was fired during the investigation and is facing multiple charges, including introduction of contraband to a detention facility and possession of a controlled substance. The Falkenberg Road Jail is one of the largest direct supervision facilities in the country, with a capacity of 3,300 prisoners sitting on about 142 acres. Sheriff Chronister said that the investigation is still in the early stages. They're unsure right now if other deputies may be involved. He noted that it's likely that the inmates involved would receive additional charges, but it's unknown at this time exactly who was involved. I'm a little torn on this one. Police officer capitalizing on cannabis while our brothers and sisters sit in jail kind of bugs the shit out of me. However, on the flip side, knowing how incredibly boring jail is, I would be stoked as an inmate that I had access to cannabis. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. I'm guessing that the snitch that gave up Officer Bradford had a falling out of some kind with the deputy. Otherwise, why ruin a good thing for your fellow inmates? At the Falcon Road Jail, inmates have a number of activities and classes available to pass the time. Educational and vocational programs like culinary arts, sewing, GED, domestic violence, as well as substance abuse. So by a good thing, I mean, I just can't imagine allowing cannabis consumption in jail as a bad thing, because in my mind, I just see a calmer, more compliant population of people, a happier population of people. And if prisons were to embrace the power of the plant, it could also help treat the inmates that suffer from mental illness and substance abuse. However, I'm not going to hold my breath for that. I know before that can happen in any official capacity that we can't have our brothers and sisters sitting in jail for nonviolent cannabis convictions. Love to hear what you guys think. Is former Deputy Bradford the fried piper of the pen, making a bad situation a little better, or just another cop thinking he's above the law, profiting off of the prisoners? I'm Stone Slade reporting for the High at 9 News. Rico, were we able to get our friend Anthony from 40 Tons to comment on this one?
I believe so. We got guest.
Yes, we do have Anthony, but I want to know how many items was a brownie?
How many?
I really want to know how many items was a brownie? Like how many soups? How many soups for a brownie?
Right. I mean, I thought that the funniest thing about this shit was they said
his name
a few $1,000.
A few $1,000.
Hold on. What about his name? His name. This is the most ironic part of it all.
Cronmeister.
Chad Chronister.
That's the sheriff. That's the sheriff that arrested the sheriff or whatever.
Chad Chronister, bro. Like you can't make this shit up, bro. This is amazing.
I love that he went the extra mile to actually bake brownies instead of selling flour.
That's what I'm saying.
I bet you they were all made with trim.
Well, I listened to the whole. I don't know if Anthony's on yet. If he's on, we can bring him on.
I'm on.
He's with us. He's with us. We do have Anthony from 40 Tons with us.
There he is.
I'll bet you he probably had an inmate cook it in the prison kitchen.
You think so?
Bro, you think he had? No, I don't think he had it. He was making it in the prison kitchen.
Yeah.
No way.
They said,
stinks, bro. That shit is loud, bro. When you cooking.
He was
So they
bringing
start
it
cooking
in
with
his
booth.
lunchbox,
loud.
and the article even said that that Sheriff Kronmeister was coming up with other ideas to feed the officers so they wouldn't have to bring their lunch, but he couldn't actually stop them from bringing in their lunch boxes.
Yeah, if you watch like the press conference, it was hilarious. And it was like, we can't stop the people from bringing their own food in there. So, I don't know how we're going to stop this.
I'll bet you it said quote other contraband items, right? So I'll bet you he was probably bringing in cell phones and other shit that probably got him hot.
So what you're saying, Anthony, is if you would have just stick to just bacon brownies, he would be scot-free right now.
Probably.
So Anthony, is this
I agree with Anthony. I want
common practice?
I want that case.
What's the question?
Go ahead, Omar.
Where somebody had their brownies seized, but they never admitted that they were pop brownies. They just said they're brownies.
They're brownies.
So the cops try to test it, and the group just clogged up their lab equipment. They're not able to get a good reading on whether it contained THC. And so unless the people cop to it, it's really difficult when it comes to edibles to prove that it's cannabis, as long as there's no little bits and particles of cannabis. If people are just sticking it in the brownie.
I was literally going to say something along those lines. Like I bet you it wasn't the weed, because there's absolutely no way for them to test that and to know that. Yeah. And if people are getting high back in their dorms, I mean, they could get high from anything, right? So there's no way to prove that. I bet you it was the other contraband items that got caught, and so they had physical evidence of, let's say a cell phone, and then they jammed the people up, and then they admitted that's what it was.
I smell a snitch. Real quick,
I smell a snitch. We're at the top of the hour, but I just one quick question for you, Anthony. Is this common practice to have, like the officers that are supposed to be guarding the prison? Is it common practice, because you did a fair share of time? Is it common practice to have them smuggle actual like drugs like this in there? Is it usually coming from like visits from other people? Like what's the deal there?
Well, allegedly, I have no idea what the answer to that is. But I've heard from people, but from personal experience, I absolutely have zero idea and don't know nothing, and probably wouldn't ever be able to answer that question for you. But I've read that's where those two places take place, right? So that's really the only two places that they can actually come in. You know what I mean?
It really breaks down to the type of security that a facility, like if you're in a minimum security or a maximum security, right? Because I know I've been in a minimum security, and you could just have anyone just pull up and just throw a pillow sack full of contraband over the fence, and you just run and grab it, and all of a sudden everybody's eating for a couple weeks. But in a maximum security facility, it's definitely a lot's coming from the guards.
Most prisons, even minimum securities, unless it's like a super minimum, like a camp, but
fire camp,
like fire camp or something like that. But most prisons have a double fence so that you can drive between fence number 1 and fence number 2, and so it'd be difficult to to do that unless you're in like what you said, one of those places. But I mean, dude, where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, people smuggle shit in through the garbage cans and like the garbage people they have, or like the laundry vendor that brings in all the towels and sheets to get it there. Like, I mean, it's ingenuity, right? So
are we willing to assume that none of these brownies were keistered?
I'll bet you that. Well, here's the thing. Upon entering of the location, they probably were not. But going from unit to unit, they very well could have been.
Huh?
We need to get cannabis on the prison medical formulary. This is ridiculous.
I'm with that. I think it definitely would help with stress with inmates, and it would probably lead to a lot less violence against the correctional officers overall.
Perhaps not in the smoking format, but in like maybe the pill format.
Let them smoke some weed. Who cares? Let them smoke some weed. Whatever. They're in jail.
They're smoking cigarettes. You're
in mostly cement building.
But the problem is not the smoking. The problem is the fire.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Giving access to fire to an inmate is not
Maybe we should give them some windowsill booth, and then nobody will get.
Dude,
I was in jail one time, and there was this guy, super redneck jail, and literally burnt out 3 light sockets trying to get a light for a cigarette.
I was literally just gonna say that's how I used to light our shit, and we would blow the circuit breaker in the whole damn
all the time
place.
Yep, exactly. Now you can't charge anything.
So if you guys ever are in a situation where you have an outlet and you don't have a plug on something, if you take the razors, like the single edge razors, and you take those little 2 razors out, you could actually make a little concoction to make your own plug. And then you use these little springs, and then there's a piece of metal that you take that goes into a water, and then you could it's called a stinger, but like you can make your own little electricity. We used to do that all the time to heat things up.
Thank you, MacGyver.
It's very, very like unstable. You know what I mean? And you could fuck yourself up. You could shock yourself. You could burn, a piece of paper, which then now burn a piece of clothing and then go set someone on fire. So that's probably why.
Allegedly.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Could you just see the medic cart coming out and just letting people light their weed for them, and then that way, just come out. Oh, here, it's time for you to smoke. Here, boom, boom. Here's your light.
That would be, you know what? In the 1980s, that probably would have been super cool. But in this day and age, everyone's, it's probably so politically correct that the people who don't smoke, you're going to give them cancer and all this other bullshit.
They're already in jail. They're already getting cancer.
I know we definitely appreciate you coming on with us. Anthony Allegretti, the COO of 40 Tons, our good friend over here. You want to close us out, Jason? Thank you so much, Anthony. Much love, and I'm going to hit you up.
Thank you, brothers. All right, guys.
Oh, yeah. Thank you all for getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our audience and supporters. Thank you all for tuning in daily. We so appreciate you spending the time with us on a regular basis and monitoring what is the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Thank you to all of our haters, because we have the most extravagant houses inside of your heads that we pay absolutely zero rent for. Man, you should see some of these properties. They are absolutely amazing. Even Trump would be jealous. Huge thank you to True Classic, LAXCC, and DNA Genetics and Wizard Trees for helping us keep the lights on and keeping us doing this. Thank you to Cloud Media Partners, House of Fuego, and Zaza Simone holding us down in Clubhouse. That's right. And thank you all for helping us create this safe space in the multiverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. It's America's #1 daily cannabis news show. Oh, yeah.
We love you.
Run it.